What do Jackie, Jacqueline, and Jax have in common? Well, they've all spent some time and lived in this body of mine, but only one finally feels a little more like home. This episode is a wild ride through name tags, old wounds, cubicle drama, and flower powered peace offerings. If you've ever felt mislabeled, misunderstood, or just ready to rename your damn self, this episode is for you. Well, hello, darling, and welcome to the Just Jax podcast. Hi, I'm Jax, and I help you find the can in your cat. When we challenge our cats, miracles happen, because when I challenged mine of I can't draw, I can't paint, and I can't color, imagine my surprise when I discovered what I can do is create a 21-foot garden mural that was recently featured not once but twice on the front page of our local newspaper. Next up, I challenge the I'm no author, no artist, and no cursive writing specialist, but what I can do is self-publish 3 books for my kick-ass cursive writing curriculum, Crack the Cursive Code. I'm a jack of all trades, but what I master in is helping ordinary people like me to do extraordinary things through laughter, tears, life-changing stories, because metaphors are my jam. Together we can find the can in your can'ts, the do's in your don'ts, and the wills in your won'ts. I'm so excited for you. Let's go. Well, hello, darlings, and welcome back to the Just Jax podcast. Hi, I'm Jax, and today we're going to talk about something I believe we all share in common, and that we could feel absolutely having no control over this part of our lives and our existence. And I would say that would be our name. First, middle, last. And I have struggled. Well, actually, I'm a woman of many names. I've had 3 first names and 5 last names. I could say I'm over the hump of being close to a contender for the Liz Taylor status. Yes. Yes, yes, that's me. I was talking to a lady the other day, a good friend of mine that I used to work with, and she just recently lost her husband, which has been very sad. And she was talking to me about being married for 45 years. And I'm like, well, fuck, I've been married for quite a long time, just to different fucking people. Anyway, back to the name. I have had 3 first names. From 0 to 20, I was Jackie. From 20 to 40, I was Jacqueline. And from ish on, I have been Jax. I have struggled with my first name. Well, I have. There's been some fun struggles with my last names as well, but that's future podcast episodes. I was talking to a new delightful coworker that I've just met, and now I have this awesome way to explain something because I just say this is going to be a future podcast episode because seriously, my life is full of these kind of stories. So, Jackie, oh. When I sit there and think about myself when I was younger, I was so awkward and so much self-hatred, and I was sure I was adopted because there was no fucking way I belonged to these people. I just felt like such a black sheep, implant, byproduct. My mother had foster children that she took care of when I was young, and I'm like, "Are you sure I wasn't just switched with one of those?" Something like that. Because I just never felt like I fit in with my family, and then it carried into school. I was bullied. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm sure there's people that have experienced more, but it was enough for me. I knew that I tried to barter with my property, like crayons and such, to try and buy my friends. I never wanted to shine. I always felt like I had to be the highest I would allow myself to be would be 3rd place. Just, then, I'm just remembering that I went to a school of nuns, and that, of course, like I said, will be another future podcast episode, I'm sure. But that entire experience of Jackie is one that I've lived with my parents by the name of Jackie, and that was a very uncomfortable experience. My brother was alive during the time when I was Jackie, and that was a very uncomfortable experience. And I was one of 19 grandchildren, and I never fit in with them, and that was an uncomfortable experience. And my dad uprooted us from a big city to a small town quite abruptly, and that was an uncomfortable experience. So Jackie was an uncomfortable experience. And there was just, and his self identity was just sucked. Although some of my victories and such also, but this is now therapy checks. Yeah, therapy jacks, coming in and looking for the value, looking for the corn amongst the shit. Anyway, that's how you turn shit into fertilizer, my friends, is looking for that corn. But it just really resembled a time where I just so just hated myself. And then I decided that, and I'm really, uh I'm having a hard time recalling what actually made the decision to start calling myself Jacqueline. I believe it was when when I decided to uproot myself and walk away from everything I knew to start a complete turnover of life. So yeah, I guess that's when it started. That's anyway. And I decided to go by Jacqueline, and people were quite respectful, but it just burned my ass on how many people would automatically assume that they could call me Jackie. Like, for fuck's sakes, if I introduced myself as Jacqueline, why do you take the liberties to do that? I've had a couple people that were just absolute dicks about it. One was male and one was female. As soon as they found out I didn't like the name, that's what they would call me. And I'm like, is that for superiority, or what is the point of all that? And I guess it's an adult version of bullying, I suppose. I'm unsure. So Jacqueline went on for quite a long time, and I actually developed name bodyguards, as I would call them, because if someone called me Jackie, they would absolutely jump to my defense. Like, don't call her that. She doesn't like to be called that. Actually, my I'll call current husband. My husband is one of those people, and therapy checks has really been able to accept all these parts of myself and understand. You've come a long way, baby. In then I went to hair school, and there was a whole bunch of disruption. I would call it chaos and soap opera drama that I created for myself. And at that time, I just wanted to really get rid of my Jacqueline experience and my Jackie experience and put an X there on my name. And I guess that's what we do with the word Christmas when you want to take the whole Christian aspect out of it. You just put X in the front and call it Xmas. And I just, there was a young girl, call her young. She has a child of her own now. There was at the time she was a young girl, and she came to live with us. And she made the name up for me, and she said, "Well, you could be Jax." And I thought, that's kind of cool. And I adopted it at that time, and I was the OG Jax. Well, I know there are some of us out there before Sons of Anarchy came along, and now there are so many boys and dogs that are named Jax. And if I had a quarter for every time I was told that I'm somebody's dog or son, that would be just fantastic. I could, oh, what I could do with that. So I had an interesting experience come up with my name, and I wanted to. It really showed how far I had come into assimilating myself and accepting those parts of myself, because that was the real trick, right? Is that those were not, I could say, they were ways of expressing myself. That am I that awkward now? No, no, I'm actually quite well loved. Can I be awkward? Well, sure, I can be awkward. Anyone can be awkward in different situations, but have I mastered that awkwardness? Yes, I'd say. Well, I'm talking to you on a microphone. Have I mastered the awkwardness of being able to express myself and be around people? I'd say yes. I'd say I've mastered that. I am no longer the wallflower. It comes out though. I just went to I'd say a women's retreat last summer, and oh wow, did it bring my insecurities then. I just swallowed right up into the crowd and just shriveled up and died. And I realize now that when I go to functions like that, that is something that I need to work on, because as soon as some other strong women come in, I've had the habit in the past of just starting to deflate. And it's like, no, no, I want to be around women or men or anyone really that it wants to make me to be stronger, instead of that I need to be smaller so that they can be stronger. Like, why can't we? Because if you look at a yoke, when you have like two I don't want to necessarily call them cows, but two oxen, and they if one is weaker than the other, then there's no balance there. So that way, it would be I'd like to be able to have that kind of relationship with people, that I can stand and be empowered for who I am. But was I challenged at work? Because I spent 4.5 years of my life working for a call center on a medical facility, and it's been very fascinating to be a Canadian and becoming quite familiar with the American medical system. For I never realized before how detailed it can become. And in the beginning, we had been moved from a self-contained building with offices, where there were two of us in an office, to a big converted grocery store, which had a bunch of cubicles that had a very uh, acoustic problem with loud, dynamic people like myself. And they made the I wouldn't say unwise decision, but it was a very interesting decision to put me out into the main cubicle area, because I am constantly told, it's very interesting because I'm constantly told that I am too loud. Yet there are so many people that tell me that when they hear my voice anywhere in the building where I work, and it doesn't matter what building I'm in, but wherever I am, if they hear my voice, the stress level goes immediately down, because then they know that I am on the premises. And I have no idea how some of these people have come to know this kind of information, but I have specifically now people, because I've changed departments, and my scope of practice has completely changed as well. I've gone from I used to be quite patient centered. That's where I was, call center, and I'm no longer patient centered at all. No patient care for me whatsoever. And and I'm still too loud. I got called into the office because there was a woman across the cubicle from me that complained that I was too loud. And she had a very, well, has, because it's current too. She had a very valid point. On top of that, now this is where the name thing came in. Guess what? Guess what, darlings? Guess what her name was? Or her name is? It's Jackie. Yep. 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 And not only was it Jackie, she was someone who was like a supervisor type of person, so they called her name all the fucking time. And I was getting mini whiplash from turning my head, because I thought someone would talk to me. It was more of a instinctual thing, because of my, and then I'd be like, well, who the hell would call me that? And finally, it was almost like Marvin in Finding Nemo with the anemone. He's a clownfish, and they They put themselves in the anemone over and over again to get zapped so they get a tolerance to it. And I was like, that was like with my name. And then I found out she was the one that complained. And I thought, well, what was I going to do? Because, okay, first of all, changing my volume on my voice is exceptionally difficult. I am a loud person. Am I capable of being quiet? Yes, yes, I am capable of being quiet. But if I talk with my heart, I'm loud. If I talk with my head, I can be quiet. So it depends on who you want around you. If you want someone that's polite, professional, and in their head, then I will be my volume will be moderated. That's why it's great about a podcast because the technology takes care of that for me. Anyway, so my manager brought me in, and she's like, Jax, I just wanted to let you know that Patient Financial Services has complained about you because you're too loud. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I knew the only way to get around this is that I have to either change myself, which is going to be way too fucking hard, or I can Jaxify them, is what I call that. And what I mean by Jaxify them is let them know that I understand and that I love them regardless. So, um, I have this little. It's a. I guess it would. It's a spring green color ceramic teapot. And at the time, I had all these different roses and flowers, and I have a rotation of garden because I have a black and green thumb. I seem to be on both sides. Some things love me, and some things just die, and I am okay with that. They serve their purpose. They gave me some love. Thank you for your service, and on we go. I went around my yard and I created a bouquet to put in this little green uh, teapot. And I came into the financial services department, and there was another lady that was there, and I never knew who she was. And I said to her, I said, "Hi, I'm Jax," and they gave me the eye roll, like, "No fucking kidding. We know who you are. Everybody knows who you are. We all hear your conversations." Which means they all heard me laugh nonstop with the patient. They all heard me go kick ass, balls to the wall, doing everything I possibly could, being the best patient advocate for them. Yes, that's exactly what they heard. And if it set a standard for all of them to pull up their socks and do better, then I did my job because I did a really fine job. And I was one of the best operators to take care of the patients. That was my standard. And there are so many people that I have done miracles for. Um, Oh, that makes me emotional. That basically only I know, or some team members know, but I have really, really helped people. Anyway, so they only heard the noise, though, the volume, and which is understandable because they also had to be on the phone right on the other side of the wall, and it was difficult to tune me out, apparently. So I went to her, I went to Katie, as I know her now, and I said to her, I said, "I am Jax," and they rolled their eyes at me, and I said, "I'm really sorry because I know I'm loud and I'm going to do my best to be quiet, but I'm just telling you, girls, it's going to be really, really hard to do that." Because, as you can tell, I'm loud, but I just wanted to come and bring you some flowers, and especially for Jackie, because I know I'm making her life difficult. And they just looked at me like, what the fuck? So then, of course, Jackie was on vacation. I'm like, fuck. I decided to do a second bouquet, especially for her because the other girls got the first one. And patient financial services is a really tough department when you're having to go for people to ask for money for the medical bills because their medical bills are outrageous. So the week later, Jackie comes back, and I went and picked another bouquet, and I brought it just for her. And I came to her and I said, "I just wanted to let you know I'm really sorry. I know I'm sure I make your job difficult because I'm so loud. I will be mindful of it, but I just wanted to let you know that it's something about who I am, and I will do my best to be better. Best as in going away." No promises, but I will do my best. And so then next thing you know, I would overhear some of their conversations now, and I would hear them struggling with locating different departments. So I went over there and I said, "Do you guys have access?" Because at the call center, I had to know where everybody was, and I was that type of a person. I took the word that our position was called Patient Resource Center, and I took that word resource very seriously, and I made myself an extensive resource of people within the company. I have and I'm still like that now. I'm a very resourceful person. I obtained a switchboard list, a list of every department that we have, and I printed it off and I gave it to them, and it was like I gave them the biggest Christmas present ever. And then next thing you know, and did I change my volume? Some. I'd say maybe 10, 15, 20%. Then next thing you know, I was on the phone with a patient, and there was some kind of information that I was looking for him, and I had no way of understanding how to find that. But the patient was satisfied of what was done. And just as I hung up the phone, Jackie came running around, and she goes, "I was just talking on the phone with that patient. I was hoping I could catch him before he hung up, so I could help you if you needed any help." And I went, "You have been Jacksified." And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, I became the wall buddy. Yes. Yes, yes, I did. And that's exactly what I have been doing with the name Jackie, is learning how to love her despite how horrible she felt, and realizing that she no longer has to feel horrible like that, because you no longer have to feel horrible like that, because like your name, that stuff was given to you, and like myself, you have the power to change it if you want to. And and people are like, "Why would you want to change your name?" Well, you may not have to do something that drastic, but you can start to do things that identify yourself as who you are and decide who you want to be. Small little things. What I have started to do, and it really has really helped me, is I am following what I learned from Brenda Johnson, is that I am the type of person. So when you have a small victory, and I'm telling you, it can be so fucking ridiculous that you never tell anybody else, because all they're going to do is scoff at you. But you know what? The victories can have to start small sometimes. And maybe that's why we feel that we're stuck, or I'm stuck, is because we expect these changes to have to be something catastrophic and big. But it's the small wins that erosion can. Sure, in the beginning, it looks like it does nothing. But once it starts building momentum, it can become a serious issue. It can become an element for serious change. And I believe that what I'm practicing right now and what's working the best for me, and the reason I can say that it's working the best for me, is because I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to be happier about things. It's easier to be grateful. So something has to be working, and this seems to be working the best. So, getting ready for my podcast, I have this microphone stand that it likes to tip forward and hit the table because my headphone jack is too short. So I've done an extension of the headphone jack. But the amount of times that I have hung myself up, or hung it on the chair, or pulled it apart, or yanked something out, is there are countless amount of times that I've done that. And this time, when I was setting up for my podcast session here, I looked at the headphone and I looked at the cord, and I took the cord and I moved it out of the way, so that when I moved my chair, I didn't yank everything and send everything flying, like I've done, like I told you, countless times before. And this is where there was nobody watching, there was nobody here other than myself. And this is where I created a new "I am the type of person" statement. And it is, I am the type of person who sets herself up for success. Because that is exactly what I did there. I set myself up for success. And I really like that one. I have a list of 5 "I am that type of person" statements. I am the type of person that everything works out for me. I am the type of person who has everything she needs. I am the type of person who finishes her goals ahead of time and in a prosperous state. See? Woo! Ooh, I still have some feelings around that one. I am the type of person who gets her heart's desire. And I am the type of person who is worthy of success just for being me. I got that from the latest Brenda Johnston podcast for her affirmations. If you want to go check her out. And I'm going to have her as a guest on my show. I'm so excited. You're absolutely going to love her. And the latest one is now I am the type of person who sets myself up for success. So when I do a small little thing like this, we have discounted these little wins. And this has been the problem. Because if you keep looking for the big wins, you need to train your brain to look for wins. So to celebrate these wins and to break it down into more of a bite size doable thing, I have assigned my I am the type of person statements to an angel number. And this angel number, as I'm finding out, is quite an interesting number. It is my husband's birthday. It is apparently, according to human design, the day my consciousness came to be. So it truly is my birthday of my mind instead of my body, if that's my interpretation of it. And the derivative of it is my day that I am born, which also is part of the angel number, just 3 months later. And when I see the date of my birthday, I say one of the I am the type of person statements. The one that comes out the most right now is that I'm the type of person that has everything she needs. But the funny thing about this now is that I'm actually looking for these numbers to see if I can say the statement. It's been interesting because the number is also it's also a date, of course, and so I am now in the month of that date. So at work, I am really bombarding myself when I see my angel number because it's happening quite a bit this month, and so I must be needing some real pounding about that. Sometimes it's frustrating when the number comes up at a time where I have lots of stuff going on, but I stop and say them, and it's been a very enjoyable thing that has been happening. I really believe that the change is in the small stuff, and I have a saying that I have with my friend is that it's the same but different, and that's exactly what's happening for me. On the outside, in a lot of ways, my stuff looks the same, but on the inside, things are very different, and slowly my outside will match my inside more, and it has. There's been some fantastic things that have also happened for me, and so I'm glad. But yes, it starts with the small stuff, and if it is just finding the I am the type of person statement that just makes you feel good about yourself, find one, and that way you start training yourself to look for the wins, and that's when the real change can start to happen. It has for me, and it can happen for you. So there you have it, my darlings. Jackie, Jacqueline, Jax. 3 names, 1 girl, and finally 1 voice. Mine. Today's episode walked through the identity shift behind those names, the pain tied to Jackie, the armor that I built with Jacqueline, and the voice I uncovered in Jax. We talked about volume reduction. Volume reduction, no. We talked about volume, rejection, forgiveness, and what it means to stop flinching at the sound of your own story. And now, now, I have no credentials whatsoever as an author, an artist, or a cursive writing specialist. But what I did is I saw a need and built something I wished existed. And in the process, I am going to break down that journey in a 4-part series of how I cracked the cursive code and I built a tool. Yes, because this was never about me becoming a teacher. No, 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 no. This was about me building a tool for the ones already in the battlefield, doing the work, the moms, the educators, the helpers, the true warriors. And for me now, choosing the name Jax helped me find a louder, freer version of my own voice. And now this voice shows up in this podcast and on the cover of my books, Loud Where It Matters stories and quiet when I can. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook on Just Jack's Podcast. Send me your stories, questions, or love letters to justjackspodcast@gmail.com, or you can find me on Reddit at #HeyJax. You never know, one of your stories may end up in one of my future episodes, of course, with your permission. Until then, keep choosing your name, keep claiming your space, and keep being the type of person who sets yourself up for success, even when it starts with a silly win. Love ya, Jax.